Try to remember the last time you lost track of time, not because you were mindlessly scrolling, but because you were doing something that pulled your attention so completely that the outside world blurred out. Writing a page and feeling the sentences suddenly glide. Practicing a passage until your fingers fell exactly where they should. Running a stretch of road while breath and stride snapped into rhythm like a small orchestra inside your chest. When you finally looked up, the clock had leapt forward. Your body was tired, but somewhere in your chest there was a warm, quiet satisfaction that was hard to name. That moment is a clue to today's question. What is true happiness? Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi spent a lifetime answering that question, not with slogans, but with decades of research and interviews with real people, artists, athletes, surgeons, craftspeople, engineers, cooks, climbers, caretakers. He gathered those fragments into a simple, precise idea. Flow. The state in which you become fully absorbed in what you are doing. Your focus deepens. Your goal is clear, feedback is immediate, and the challenge stretches you just enough while remaining under your control. The important part isn't the place or the props, it's the inner structure of the experience. Happiness, in his deeper sense, isn't a prize at the end of a road. It's the quality of experience when consciousness has order and you feel yourself growing in the very act of doing. Why order in consciousness? Because most days our minds feel like an open plaza at rush hour. Regrets tug us backward. Worries yank us forward. Self-judgment circles overhead. Social comparison flashes from every screen. And a dozen signals pull our attention in 10 directions. In flow, that plaza narrows into a canal with banks. A specific goal channels the current. Immediate feedback puts beacons along the edge. A well-matched level of difficulty provides the slope that keeps water moving. When those three align, the noise in your head lowers its volume and you feel aligned with your life. That alignment is the groundwork of durable happiness. Let's go deeper into the book's core by following 3 connected stories. First, happiness is a state we produce, not a reward we're handed. Second, flow blooms right at the boundary where challenge meets skill. Third, an inner engine, the autotelic tendency, is the key to opening that door day after day. On top of that, we'll add one last thread about meaning. How flow doesn't just make us feel good. It stitches life into a coherent story. Lesson 1. Happiness isn't in what we have, it's in how we experience. The trap of our era is confusing quick stimulation with happiness. A new gadget, a fancy meal, a trip for the photo, a round of applause. These can be lovely, but the brain runs on a cool law called hedonic adaptation. What is new today becomes normal very quickly. We end up needing bigger shocks to feel the same buzz. Without getting any closer to real fulfillment, flow takes a different path. It pays you in the feeling of progress. Today you write more clearly than yesterday. Today you run steadier than last week. Today you handle a tricky case more cleanly than the last time. That feeling doesn't get eroded by familiarity, it grows with repetition. Both sides involve dopamine, but one flares and fades, the other burns warm and steady. When flow appears, certain signs often travel together. You don't need to memorize them, but feel the logic. You have a clear goal, so you know what you're doing. You get immediate feedback, so you know how to adjust. The challenge fits your skill, so you're stretched without being drowned. Concentration deepens. A sense of control appears, not control over everything, just enough to keep helplessness away. Self-consciousness fades. You stop watching yourself from the outside. Time warps. Long becomes short or short becomes long, and finally, you feel the intrinsic reward of the activity, doing it because it is worth doing. When that sequence runs, happiness seeps, like sap from a tree, quietly, persistently. Lesson 2. Flow lives on the line between challenge and skill. Picture a simple 2-axis map. Where challenge sits below skill, you feel bored. Where challenge towers above skill, you feel anxious. The sweet spot is a narrow channel between them, made just for who you are right now. The book doesn't just describe that channel, it hands you a steering wheel to enter it every day. When you're bored, raise the rung. Add a crisp criterion. Add an interesting constraint. Shorten the session to raise density. When you're anxious, lower the rung. Slice the big task into 15 to 25-minute chunks. Practice a micro skill first. Build a low runway so the plane can lift off. Above all, keep the feedback loop short. Don't wait until it's finished to check. Check midway. Read a paragraph aloud. Run a test. Listen to a raw take. Borrow a quick second pair of eyes. Each session becomes a brick placed exactly where it belongs. Enough bricks, and a wall stands. You can verify this even in places that don't feel inspirational. An office task turns vivid when there's a sharply stated objective and a short feedback cycle. A workout becomes memorable with a micro goal, plus 500 meters. Plus 1 set, plus 5 BPM on the metronome. A study session deepens with an entry ritual, notifications off. A familiar instrumental track, a 50-minute timer, one handwritten sentence naming the goal. Flow isn't picky, it just insists on structure. But structure isn't enough if your motive lives entirely outside you. That's where lesson 3 arrives. The autotelic stance, doing the thing because the thing itself is worth doing. Auto means self. Telos means goal. People with an autotelic tendency don't wait for rewards to begin. They invent a game with rules. The rules are simple. A one-sentence goal. A measurable done definition. A time box short enough not to be scary. And a way to record visible progress. With rules in place, the brain knows what to do. Once it knows, flow has a path. The reward sits inside. The feeling of clearing a hard session. Crossing a new rung. Doing something you couldn't do before. That's quiet self-respect no one can take away. And yes, autotelic can be trained. Try a 4-week ramp. Week 1. Each day pick one 15 to 25-minute task. Write one sentence goal and one sentence done definition. Week 2. Add a timer and one mid-session feedback check. Week 3. Raise the rung a little. Clearly. Week 4. Pair 2 micro tasks into one 50 to 60-minute deep session. The result isn't that you become a genius overnight, it's that you show up on time for yourself. Your mind becomes less frantic, less dependent on applause, less hungry for cheap spikes. What about the messy days, you might ask? Illness, loss, plans collapsing. Does flow matter then? Csikszentmihalyi doesn't sugarcoat life. He points to one useful move when the storm hits. Shrink the unit of control. One 15-minute action, with a clear done definition, with immediate feedback. That action won't fix the big picture, but it restores order in consciousness. 3 micro sessions on a bad day won't make you happy, but they stop you from feeling helpless. And the absence of helplessness is soil where hope can root. Flow isn't only private, it's also collective. In relationships, a flow-like conversation happens when there's a shared aim to understand, to decide. A light rule set, no interruptions, ask to clarify before you counter. And instant feedback, paraphrase what you heard to check understanding. In teams, flow emerges when the common goal is sharp. Autonomy is real, feedback loops are short, and difficulty climbs by visible rungs. When individuals weave their streams into the shared current, solitary joy becomes resonant joy. There's one last thread the book spends real time on: meaning. Flow gives you bricks, ordered, vivid moments. A wall needs a blueprint. Csikszentmihalyi invites us to revisit 3 words: purpose, resolve, harmony. Purpose is a short sentence in the present tense. I create, for, by. Resolve is your commitment to practice through small, steady rungs. Harmony is the ability to integrate the separate parts, work, body, relationships, leisure, into a 90-day life theme. You don't need a grand slogan. You need one specific sentence that can guide choices. 3 small weekly projects that serve that sentence. 1 deep session a day for one of those projects. When scattered flow sessions are stacked beneath a theme, life turns continuous. Happiness stops being just a nice feeling and becomes the story you're writing. So we return to the opening question. What is true happiness? After walking with Csikszentmihalyi through labs and workshops, tracks and kitchens, the answer stops being foggy. Happiness is a way consciousness operates, when your attention is organized by a clear aim. Quick feedback, and well-matched difficulty. When you merge with the doing and stop looking at yourself from the outside. When time bends to your rhythm. When the reward is already inside the process. Happiness like that isn't waiting at the finish line. It walks with you, Session by session, rung by rung, conversation by conversation. What will you do with your first 15 minutes tomorrow? Don't turn it into a grand resolution. Write down one task small enough to begin now, specific enough to measure, difficult enough to make you stretch a little. Set a tiny ritual: warm water, one deep breath, one instrumental track. Set the timer. Check halfway. When you stop, don't grade yourself, good, bad. Note one thing clearer than before. One rung to try next time. One place to lower the bar so you don't break the rhythm. Then repeat. A week from now, you won't just have more output, you'll have a different operator, a mind with a frame. If something here tugged a string in you, tell me in the comments. Which activity makes you forget time? And what small rung will you try this week? If it helped, tap like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, not to feed empty numbers, but to remind each other that happiness doesn't schedule an appointment for some special day, faraway place, or shiny trophy. Happiness is how we step by step, in the current we choose to carve each day. And that is enough.